Hey, did you guys hear it? It Chapter 2 is 2 hours and 45 minutes long. I know, right? Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis Meany once again. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw, and this time it is going to be on Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Now, ever since hulking lawman Hobbs, played by Dwayne Johnson, a loyal agent of America's diplomatic security service and lawless outcast, Shaw, played by Jason Statham, a former British military elite operative, first faced off in 2015's Furious 7. The duo have swapped smack talk and body blows as they've tried to take each other down, but when cyber genetically enhanced anarchist Brixton, played by Idris Elba, gains control of an insidious biothreat that could alter humanity forever, and bests a brilliant and fearless rogue MI6 agent, the Crown's Vanessa Kirby, who just happens to be Shaw's sister. These two sworn enemies will have to partner up to bring down the only guy who might be badder than themselves. Now, when it comes to the Fast and Furious movies, I've only seen the first one, and I did after I saw on the Fate of the Furious. I've seen a little bit of the second movie. It's not really that good, but I've heard that there are tons of fans of the series. That it's basically one of the biggest guilty pleasure movie franchises of all time, from what I've heard. And maybe one day I'll marathon them at home, and I don't have any of them on Blu-ray, so I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything in terms of the plot to the entire series, but I don't know. I'm probably not, because when it comes to the Fast and Furious movies, nobody really pays attention to the story. They mostly pay attention to the action and the ridiculous stuff that's happening. And unlike most of the movies that, involve a lot of cars and racing, it doesn't have this. This movie doesn't have any of that. What this movie basically has is Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham, two over the top and fantastic, action stars. Well, I would say Jason Statham is a bit more over the top than Johnson is, but their chemistry works really well together. I like how for the first half, it's a movie where they have to team up, even though they don't like each other, and then later on they start bonding while action goes. Well, I wouldn't say bonding, but basically they get better at with working together to defeat, Idris Elba, and Idris Elba as the villain. I liked him as the villain in the movie. And in terms of the movie itself, it was enjoyable enough, surprisingly, for a spin-off film. And I know there is going to be a lot more Fast and Furious movies, and they're going to be a lot more ridiculous than this. I mean, when it comes to each movie, for the most part, from when the franchise started, from Fast and Furious to Fast and Furious, those movies were probably the weakest from what I've heard. But ever since Fast 5 started, it basically, revived the series and made it a hell of a lot better. That's from what I've heard. And basically, it's kind of rare. It's just like the Mission Impossible movies, except the Mission Impossible movies are awesome. Almost all of them are. The first movie was good. Second movie really wasn't that good. Third movie was good. Fourth movie was better. Fifth movie was better. Sixth movie was the best. And that might not be what the Fast and Furious series is. But, for the most part, the story is basically very forgettable because... And in terms of action sequences, they are really ridiculous. Like, there's this one part with a skyscraper. It's absolutely ridiculous and over the top and crazy. And that's exactly what they were going for. They wanted to make this movie ridiculous. It's directed by David Leitch. I think... wait, let me check. Yes. He's the director of John Wick, Atomic Blonde, and Deadpool 2. So... really good choice for this director, for Hobbs and Shaw. Oh, and Once Upon a Deadpool, but that doesn't really count. But no, his direction overall for this is good. And I will say this though, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and there are a couple of scenes that did drag a little bit. I feel like 2 hours and 15 minutes is kind of too long. Like if they cut it down to like 15 minutes, then that would have made it a hell of a lot more entertaining than it already is. And I know I complain about movies' lengths a lot. It's just, yeah, sometimes movies can drag on quite a bit, but this movie didn't drag on a whole lot. It's just, you know, I don't like when, there are scenes or times in movies where they have to be, like we have these scenes that honestly feel like they drag, but nothing really dragged on a whole bit in this movie. So in terms of the pros, it's fun, it's pretty well paced, and that's basically it. If you want to have a good time at the movies and like a fun time, if you want to get drunk with your friends, then that's exactly what you might be doing when you watch this movie. And you might go into this movie and you might walk out going, that movie was stupid. It didn't make any sense. Then I could understand where you're coming from. But, I feel like there's going to be a lot more people that are probably going to say, oh, that movie was fantastic. It was so much fun, entertaining, because that's what, people liked about, not critics, but people liked about, Godzilla, because they expected, Godzilla King of Monsters, by the way, they expected like a big monster movie, and that's exactly what they got. If you expect a really crazy, over-the-top action movie, that's what you're going to be getting here. So overall, it might not be a masterpiece, but I enjoyed it. I'm going to give Hobbs and Shaw a 3.5 out of 5. Despite its issues, it was fun enough, and that's basically the best way I could put it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I don't know what's going to be happening next weekend. Oh, well, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is going to be coming out next week. I really hope that's good. Oh, and there's another movie, a live-action movie that involves, I don't know, a girl that speaks Spanish. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Ward out.